Hi, this is Chance De La Soul, and this is a commentary track for both All Together Now and Goodbye Future Funk. I decided to do a commentary track because of Neil Cicierega. He did a commentary track for Spirit Phone, and I thought, hey, might as well do that as well. I'm mainly going to just record my thoughts about the making of these albums, or like little tidbits that I can remember as the album plays along. But yeah, All Together Now is a really special album to me. It's the first album of mine that really got any like big attention. And the funny story about this album in particular is that I was going to throw it away. Most of the tracks were skeleton projects that I made about, I'd want to say like 6 months before it released. I had them lying around and I just couldn't figure out what to do with them. I couldn't figure out how to finish them. And in the meantime, while that happened, I actually ended up going on a really lucky streak and making a different album called Groove On, which it's on my Bandcamp, but that's basically the precursor to this album. If I had waited longer, those tracks that are on Groove On would have been in this album, and the album would have been a lot longer. But anyways, so I was going to scrap this, but after I completed Groove On, no one was listening to my music much back then, and I just thought, God, I need to make something. I need to make something happen. So I looked at the project files for All Together Now, and I thought, you know what? There's kind of something here. I think I can fix these up, elongate some parts, shorten some parts, and that'll be good enough. So that's basically what I did. That's why this album is so short, because it was kind of not planned for this album to be actually finished and put out there. I'm glad I did finish it and put it out though, because people really like this album, and I'm very glad that they do. This song, Summer, it has a Nina Simone sample. It's not actually Nina Simone, it's a cover of one of her songs. It's a pretty good sample. I like the sample. The vocals on this song, when they just blast in at the very beginning, oh man, that was such a lucky sample find. It's just some random Japanese record with people dancing on the cover. It just has those vocals in it, and I thought, wow, I have to use that. The samples in this album, they all come from when I was in college. I like every single weekend for like weeks straight, I would grab a Red Bull and I would go online and I would go to these Google Blogspot blogs, and I would just download every single album that they had. I would go on to like random pages and I would try to find albums that look interesting, and I would download them and I would just comb through them, and I would do this for like dozens of albums a night. It was a really, I mean, it's not work. It was fun, but it's very tedious work. Oh man, Handsome Boy Technicality. I think this track is the one that I worked on the least when I said that I wanted to finish up those tracks because I was going to throw them out. This one, I listened to it and I thought, you know what? It's really good as it is. And I just left it as it was. This song basically barely changed from the moment that I first started working on it. The only thing that I added to it at the end was the Mikado vocal samples, this thing here. I'm still really proud of this sample because this is just me lifting the needle on the vinyl. I was going to, the way that I sample vinyls is I just flip the needle from space to space, and then I go into like the FL Studios Edison, and I grab the snippets that I want from there. But on this song, I just plop the wave file right in there without actually chopping anything up, and I thought, hey, it fits. Might as well keep it in. It's really nice when things come together like that. These drums, they're programmed drums, and then there's a drum loop behind them, a sample drum loop. And then the guitar is from a Sergio Mendes album that I got for $1. Yeah, you should. If you ever want to sample yourself, you should never pay over $5 for a record. Even $5 is too much. Probably you don't want to pay more than $2, because finding records to sample gets expensive if you really pay more than $5. Again, the sweet spot is like $1 for a record if you ever go sample hunting. Oh man! And then also you should be prepared to like store them, because they pile up quick. I still need to take all my old records back to Goodwill, because I've taken all the samples that I can out of those, and they're just too much space. Now this track, You Will Be There, I like this one a lot. This one was the one that was my favorite while I was working on it. And it's also the one that I was the most nervous about, because I sampled a song from 2010 in this track. It was released in 2010, and most of the songs that I sample in this album are like, 70s, 60s, 80s songs. So I'm not too worried about copyright on those. Not too worried about getting copyright strikes for those. But this one had a sample from 2010, and I was so nervous that the guy who made the song would find me and like yell at me, or do worse. Oh, I love this sample. There's Marilyn and McCoo. Marilyn and McCoo? I don't know. And the Delegation sample in the background, Soul Trippin'. And then the sample in the right channel here, God, I wish I remembered what that was, but I love it. Yeah, there's a lot of samples on this album that I don't expect people to ever find the original versions of, because I use them so like short. Like this is literally just a little piece of synth. Like maybe someone could find it eventually, but that's going to be really hard. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's wonderful to meet you. The clapping is from a different record that I've sampled a bunch of different times.
Now, whatever you're doing here tonight, hurry.
And then the vocal sample here is from some kind of 50s stand-up record.
This one here is made out of wood. Can you imagine clothes made out of wood? You're walking down the street behind
clothes made out of wood.
You've got a wooden dress on and a knothole falls out of the dress. I guess we're going to have to look into that.
And we're coming up to another track transition here. I think all of the tracks in this album are in the same key. I think so. I think I did that deliberately. But the harsh transitions, the quick cuts between tracks that actually sound really good. I got that idea from Girl Talk. Because Girl Talk's albums are all basically like that, where it's just one giant DJ mix and all the samples just cut into each other. When they're done, there's just straight transition from one track to the next. And when I first heard Girl Talk's albums, I thought, you could do that? And so this album, I was originally going to spend a lot more time like trying to blend the tracks together so it sounds like one seamless thing. But the harsh cuts between each track actually sound better. So thank you, Girl Talk, for that. Please remember, this track is another one of my favorites, but it was more of my favorite after the fact, because I think this is probably the one the first time that I really like emotionally connected with a song that I made, if that makes sense. Like, this is the first time that I actually felt that I expressed myself wholly, entirely in a song using just samples. It's really great. I really like this song for that reason. It's basically like exactly how I was feeling when I made this album, because like I said, I guess I didn't say it before, but I was getting ready to like quit making anything. And I basically made this album as a Hail Mary to see if I should keep doing it. I mean, I love making music, but there's been a lot of times where I just, like, every time I make an album, it feels like it's my last one. And so this song was the first time that I actually, like, felt that I expressed that bittersweet feeling properly. Yeah, that's why this track in particular always sticks out in my mind. And also because of that nice vocoder sample. Gosh, I forget what that sample is from, but the cover has like a guy surfing or swimming in the front. Very good sample. Yeah, like the way that I make sample-based music is I just, like I said before, I chop up songs that I grab online or through vinyl, and then I keep those chopped up like 4-bar sections in a folder. I have like thousands of WAV files at this point, and when I made this album, I just combed through all of the WAV files that I had, including like a lot of new ones that I recently chopped up, and basically just threw them in here.
American bird song.
And a lot of them ended up, working out really well. There's a couple samples in here that I really wanted to use for like a long time. I think one of the ones in this song is actually an example of one of them, the Bye-yi-yi-yi one. This one's funny. It's a bird call vinyl album. It's like a Cornell University thing, some kind of research thing. I think this is one of the ones that I wanted to use for a long time. It's been a while. Yeah, this is just a really like simple beat, Okay, yeah, this one, the Japanese sample, I like saved this one for a long time, and I was so happy to finally use it here. I think this is EPO, the Japanese band EPO. They made a really nice cover of Downtown. I think that's where this is from. Oh, this is a Maria. Another Japanese sample. Apparently Maria is like a cult singer. One of her albums is like really well known. I didn't realize that when I sampled it. I used to be really anal, I guess, about finding samples that weren't used, because in the 90s there was a lot of pride in finding samples that no one else used and all that stuff. Nowadays I don't really care, Back then I was looking at songs that I downloaded and then looking it up on YouTube to see how many plays they had, how many views. Nowadays I never do that. I don't care. If it sounds good, I'll use it. Yeah, this is more of like a more chill track, although like I said, they're all the same key. They're all the same, around the same BPM too. I think they are all the same BPM, the tracks. again, that was kind of a deliberate decision to make it all flow together as one big song, which is because of the Avalanche's influence on me. This album is like heavily inspired by the Avalanches. When I made this album, it was basically my answer to the Avalanches, because one of my previous albums, Let's Groove, I made that as like a direct ripoff of the Avalanches. And this album, I wanted to make a future funk version of the Avalanches. That's basically the concept of this album. And I think I pulled it off. Other people seem to agree. The name of this track, Golden Supernatural Symphony, is just all synonyms for Yellow Magic Orchestra. Because there's a Yellow Magic Orchestra sample in this song. God, I just really love YMO. I love the change up here. Yeah, while this album has a lot of samples, I think the track with the most samples in it is probably Please Remember. And then you got some tracks like this one where there's less unique samples. I think pretty much there's just 3 samples layered on top of each other here right now. The horns are separate from the bass, which is separate from the vocal. And this is a Peter Pan vinyl record. I don't know. I got this record from my sister because she said that she went to a laundromat and she just saw like a pile of Disney records sitting there on top of one of the machines that were like water damaged, and she just took them home. So that was a really lucky break there. Really good bass line there. When I pick out samples to include in songs, usually I don't focus on individual elements. Usually I think of like the sample as a whole and try to figure out where it can fit. Because it's just so, that's the nice thing about sampling is the little incidental bits that you didn't intend to be in there really add to the flavor of the song. Like, that's one of the reasons why I'll probably never use that AI stem removal technology to like get isolated vocals or isolated drums or isolated bass, because like the other stuff in the song is like, that's the sauce, man. That's what you need. It's what makes it unique. This song was supposed to have another sample in the first 20 seconds of the song, but when I exported the project file, it was accidentally muted, so I have the only true full copy of this track, I guess. I don't know. It's like basically the same thing. The little sha-la-la-la-la here, I used this same sample in other songs. Not the sha-la-la-la-la part, but like other parts from that song. I really like this track because it's basically just a straight up disco track. Like, this is just pure disco, and that's why the track is named Studio One. It's named after that one studio in that one club in New York. I'm forgetting the name of it, but it's Studio some number. Yeah, like that little synth in the left channel I think that's from some kind of Nigerian record, I want to say. I know I sampled a Nigerian record somewhere on this album. Shouts out to Fela Kuti. I don't think he's Nigerian. But yeah, that's another one of my favorite tracks right there. And then we have the closer here. I really like this closer because I did the thing at the end where you think it's a false ending, but it comes back and you get a really nice little snippet. Oh, this sample too, I think, was a newer sample, like a song made in 2010 or whatever. Yeah, making this album was like a dire thing for me. Not to make it sound so harsh, but it was like a Hail Mary pass when I submitted this to Business Casual. I really basically bet it all on this album. I sent it over to him. I'd actually sent over previous albums to Business Casual, Business Casual's owner, Christ, John Zabelli, and he didn't respond to like any of them. And then I sent him this one as like a last-ditch effort, and he responded right away, basically. And the rest is history now. There's the false ending. Oh man. This snippet here at the end is actually one of the first songs that I made for this album. This is maybe one of the first sample-based songs that I ever made, actually. I made it probably in like 2016, 2017, really early on in my career. And I just loved it so much, but I never found a way to complete it. So I just stuck it at the end of this one, and it works. I'm really glad that I did it. Again, it keeps up with that bittersweet feeling that I had throughout this entire album, basically. Like I've talked to people about this that they notice that it's like a bittersweet feeling throughout a lot of music that I make, and I'm really happy that people figure that out, because that's probably what I want to convey. Okay, and now goodbye, Future Funk. This album is a little bit longer. I did release like a lot of singles for this album that weren't received that well. They didn't get much attention, but then when the actual full album came out, it was like, whoa, people really like this album. I think this album is like the first time that I established a lot of my I guess I should call them tropes that I usually do in a lot of my albums. Like, here's a little intro, and then the outro track is like a chiptune album track from my other alias. I do that a lot now. I love the transition from the intro to Wanna Get By. Now, Wanna Get By, this is like one of my most popular tracks, I want to say. I mean, I like it. I think this is my personal favorite track that I've ever made. It's funny because this song is basically just me copying One More Time by Daft Punk. The way that I chopped up the sample here is basically almost exactly how they did it in One More Time with their sample, with the Eddie John's More Spell on You. And then this bass line here, I was also copying Daft Punk. I was copying their Around the World bass line. Not the melody, but the synth sound. And I was just messing around, and I made this bass line. This bass line here is just me playing even more notes on top of the original bass line, because I had it set to a monophonic mode. So that means only one note plays at a single time. So I do that, and then I add the portamento, and you get this really nice sounding bass. This track and this album in general is basically, it was originally supposed to be me saying goodbye to my old style of future funk, because the old style of future funk is just taking one sample that's really, really good and then expanding upon it by putting in house drums and chopping it up and, you know, doing all that kind of stuff with it. But usually it's just restricted to one sample. So in this album, I wanted to make that future funk style, but expand upon that and add a whole bunch of different samples, add synths, you know, all that kind of stuff. As opposed to Altogether Now, which was my, you know, Avalanche's attempt at future funk. Goodbye Future Funk is more like me trying to advance future funk as a genre itself, if that makes any sense. Yeah, I get real. This album is really inspired by just house music in general. Like if Altogether Now was inspired by the Avalanches, Goodbye Future Funk is me inspired by Daft Punk. Which, you know, you could say that about like a lot of my albums after this one too. I can't remember what this vocal sample is from. I think it's Sylvia Striplin. I want to say. The reason why the sample is chopped up that way with the "don't be" is because that's literally the only piece that I had. When I chopped up that vocal sample, I didn't chop it up correctly. I didn't chop it up all the way, and so I wanted to fill out that first section with more stuff. So I just took that "don't be" part and just looped it, and it ended up working out really nice. And then the main sample here is Phil Fearon, Galaxy. I just took that intro and, like I said, I chopped it up like they do in One More Time. Like if you go back to One More Time and you listen to how the intro to that song goes and how the sample is chopped, I do basically the same thing. I just repeat the first 3 bars, and then for the final bar you do something different. It's just that easy. I think this might have been like one of the first tracks where I actually like wrote a bass line. Yeah, I think it might be. Because, you know, being a sample-based producer, that's what I started out as. I didn't really, you know, get popular with any like originally composed stuff, which I do from time to time on my other alias, Amiga Deluxe. I've just been making chiptunes for like even longer than I've been making future funk, but that never really gets any attention. So whenever I started putting in original stuff in the songs on this alias, I was really nervous. I was really worried that no one would like it, like the arpeggio in this song, the synth that just keeps going up and down. I was so worried that people would hate it. that people would call it. I was like a corny sounding synth or whatever. But I don't know, I think it works. Oh man. Darling. It's another one of my more house tracks. This whole first half of the album is basically like me showing off just how far I've come in terms of like old future funk versus new future funk. Actually, this song basically does the same sample chopping technique as One More Time too. Like, if I'm being honest, Discovery has been basically my blueprint for a lot of things. Once you hear it, you can never unhear it. I think most of the samples in this song I got from vinyl. It's either this song or the song after Darling, or not Darling, La Nightclub is playing in my house, where I used like a 50 cent record that I got at the Swiss Army, Salvation Army, excuse me. Yeah, like, this is basically the last album where I really like went out vinyl shopping to get samples, because like I said, getting vinyls is really expensive after a while, you know, because 90% of the vinyls that you pick up are just utter garbage. You can't get anything out of them. There's just nothing there that you can sample. And so, you know, instead of doing that all the time and spending money on that, spending physical space on that, I just, after this album, resolved to just doing only digital album downloads, because at least, you know, that doesn't take up physical space. But I mean, I do still sample vinyl records sometimes. So if you miss those vinyl crackles in my newer stuff, I'm probably gonna add some more eventually. Not to mention that I probably still have a lot of samples left over from this project as well that were on vinyl. Because sampling vinyl really does, it really does add like a nice sound, you know. Oh yeah, and I sampled Dr. Strangelove in this track. That was what the voice was during the breakdown, I guess you would call it. Oh, and here it is again. Yeah, nice track. I like it. Oh, this track has a really fun use of a sample here that I don't think anyone's ever going to get. That little synth sounding thing at the end of the bar, that's just like a random sample, I think. Like a really short, less than 1 second piece. I don't think anyone's ever going to find that. And then this choir sound too, I found that's the sound that I found from a Salvation Army record for 50 cents. It was like some random choir album. I think they were singing like Beethoven or Mozart or something. And I just found that one little section of choir and I placed it into this song, and miraculously it worked. And so it stayed in. Oh, and also the title of this is a reference to La Nightclub, which is a French music producer who you might know better as, God, is it Guillemin? Or is it Thomas? It's one of the Daft Punk guys' other aliases. I think it's Guimon. It's so fun to pronounce their names in French. Thomas Bongo Hey. Guy Manuel Bedon and Cristo. Shouts out Daft Punk. This Rodney is a fat man, whatever. I have no idea where I sampled this from. I think this was like a random album that I downloaded. It's obviously from the UK, as you can tell from the accent. And this sample is LA Night. I forget who by, but it's been sampled in a bunch of other different future funk songs, and I think the way that I sampled it here is pretty unique. Pretty proud of that. Sorry if I don't have as much to say about this album, because I don't know, I'm just vibing. I'm just vibing here. That's basically what I was trying to go for with this album, actually, is just, you know, vibing out. That's what house music is about, just vibing, riding a groove forever. Forever and ever. I almost cut this vocal sample because I thought it's like, you know, weirdly off vibe. It's like a comedy sample. I don't know. Like if something makes me smile, I usually just keep it in, which is why I kept it in. God, that LA Night sample is so good. Okay, now this one, I sampled a Japanese record that was like some electronic stuff, and then I added these arpeggios on top of it, and this synth in the background as well. I wrote a lot of stuff for this track, I think. Okay, this one is sampled. That's the sample. Okay, yeah. So everything in the intro was written by me, and then this is where the sample kicks in. Yeah, like I said, this album is like the first time that I really included a bunch of original writing into the album. Like I said, I had only used samples really before, so I was really unsure how people would react to tracks like this with the original compositions, things like that. But people like them enough. I don't know, I've seen some people say that this voices can get a little annoying, and I can see where they're coming from. I probably should have, you know, changed the pitch here and there. That's my bad, guys. My bad. Oh, this is from Lucky Star. I really love Lucky Star, one of my favorites. Yeah, this album is like the first time that I did a lot of stuff that I would continue to do a lot. Sampling anime, writing my own synths, putting in different drum beats other than the classic 4 on the floor. A lot of usage of Serum, the hit VST Serum, beloved by producers everywhere. I'm trying to remember which anime I sampled. Clannad, there we go. This chopped up vocal is from Clannad. It's the main girl singing, I think, where she's saying "ah." Yeah, the trumpets are sampled. I wrote everything else. The whole idea of like samples versus writing your own stuff is so weird to me, because when I started writing and composing stuff on my own, it felt the same as using samples, if that makes sense. Like it gives me the same sort of creative feeling as finding a sample and figuring out where to place it. But you do basically the same thing when you compose. You try to find chords and where to place them, notes and where to place them. It's the same thing. And now here is where the album basically shifts up. Well, shifts down, I guess. Changes up. It goes from me basically making future funk into just me doing whatever the hell I want. Like, you could still classify a lot of the songs past this point as future funk, and they all sort of follow that template. There's a lot of 4 on the floors, but at this point I just decided to say screw it, and I just did whatever the hell I wanted. Oh, and coincidentally, this album was released on my birthday, and one of the samples says "Happy Birthday." That was completely unplanned. Got it. God, I love this drum sample. Yeah, I used a lot of drum breaks on this song. Like I said before, I say that a lot. This sample here that's filtered out, I actually did it because I uploaded this album to YouTube beforehand, before I actually released it. And this sample here, the cringy aliens, I think that's what it is, it gets flagged by YouTube like instantly, and it takes down anything that's uploaded with it. So I had to make sure to put a filter on it so that YouTube wouldn't detect it. I've actually done that before with like a couple different albums too, where I'll upload it to YouTube first, just to check that and make sure that content ID doesn't get struck. I really like what I did in this track here, the giant build-up. A lot of the tracks on this one were sampled from vinyl records. I think maybe all of them, actually. So any of the crackles that you hear in this track are all authentic. Oh man, this little synth here that I sampled, I'd been wanting to sample it for like a full year from when I first grabbed it from the song that it's from. And then I finally was able to use it on this track, and it was so nice. Yeah, just a really nice, chill section of the album. Along with Move That Body coming up is also a pretty chill track. This is when I really started thinking of like album structure in a way, how to make the album flow. Thinking about how to make it an enjoyable experience from front to back for a longer album. And I think this is really where I got, the best results out of it. The album starts off strong, starts off with like the big dance tracks, and then in the middle it's got these really chill tracks, and then at the end it picks up again a little bit, and then it really, finishes strong with Hello Future Funk, which is one of my most popular songs, I want to say. Maybe the most popular. Besides Shiki No Real, but that doesn't really count. This sample here is from Jay and the Americans. I was a little bit worried about sampling it because when I first sampled it, Jay and the Americans was one of those bands that didn't have any of their stuff on YouTube, I think. So I was really worried that they would be like anal about copyright or whatever, but it was never detected by anything, YouTube, Content ID or whatever. So it all worked out in the end. That actually was not from a comedy record. It sounds like he's about to start like a comedy set, but no, that's just a guy introducing himself. Sampling and releasing sample-based records from, the modern internet era with automatic copyright bots and all that stuff. It's actually a lot more lenient for people who are uploading the music. Like, I use DistroKid, and they never check my music for samples. They don't have like an automated system check. Or maybe they do, but I've never gotten in trouble with them. I think they basically just rely on the copyright holders to initiate strikes, similar to YouTube, but just with no automated system. Spotify definitely doesn't care. They have the whole Future Funk editorial playlist, and Future Funk is built up on samples. So I have no idea what they're doing with that. Because, like, wouldn't the original copyright holders get pissed eventually? I don't know, I guess we'll see. Man, I was so happy when I found this guitar sample. It's just so nice. I really love those kinds of guitar samples, like the ones that Nujabes would use a lot. A lot of the hip-hop samples that I used all came from one Various Artists collection. I can't remember if the one that's in this song was used in that Various Artists collection too, but it might have been. And this is Haruomi Hosono, who is a member of YMO. Great musician, great record that I sampled it from. And then this bass line, I wrote it, I think, with, that's not me playing bass. It's whenever I use a bass in a song, it's almost always a virtual instrument because I don't own a bass. I do own a guitar, and I use a Rocksmith USB cable to record it. So sometimes when you hear a guitar in my songs, it's me. But a lot of the times, even for guitar, I just use a virtual instrument. It's just easier, sounds cleaner. I kind of like that artificial sound anyways. Like this guitar is a sample. Really glad I found it. A lot of just riding out in this song. the change up for this song is coming up. Here we go. This change up was its own song originally, but I stuck it on to the end of this one just to see how it would sound, and it sounded great. And so I put it in. That's the song now. This is public domain vocals from some sort of space mission, because all of the space missions, all that radio chatter recordings, that's all public domain. You can download those from anywhere and use them in any song you want without worrying about getting copyright struck for anything. There's a little tip. Yeah, you can hear the bass line isolated there. Come with me. Here's where the album sort of picks back up again. From the more chill tracks to the, grand finale, basically. God, I really used a lot of drum breaks on this album. What is the name of this sample? I think it's Bougie Bougie? I think so. Basically no section of this song repeats. It's just a really linear song. It just goes from sample to sample. And then it ends up on this sample where it just rides out for the rest of the song. I'm really happy with how the chops turned out there. This guitar sample really fits in well too. Man, what a great sample. And then this sample is also from Plan. I love it. It fits in so well. God, the guitar sample too. That's the nice thing about sample-based music is you can still enjoy it after you make it because, you like the samples that you chose. Okay, now I should probably explain something here for the people who listen to this album on streaming services. This track is called I Felt Your Love, and it's slightly sped up. The reason for that is because this track originally appeared on an EP that I made before this album. And streaming services have a thing, or maybe it's just DistroKid, where you can't upload the same track if it was already on a different album. So when I was uploading this album, I kept running into a problem where DistroKid just kept saying like, hey, you've already put this song on a different album. We're not going to let you upload the same song twice. And so I said, oh yeah? And I sped it up. And I put it up on streaming services with that sped up version. But this version is the regular version. This is the version that I listen to. It's the one that I think of. I know some people actually like the sped up version a little bit more than this version, but this is the canonical one. And I really like this track too, because this is the first time that I really felt that like my writing enhanced the samples. I didn't write the piano here, but I wrote basically all the synths in this song, and I came up with a really nice chord progression. It took me like hours to figure it out. But it turned out great. Like that background synth playing out the chord a note at a time. It fits so well with all the different samples. Really proud of that. And then this Japanese sample right here is from Bibo no Aozora, which is a Ryuichi Sakamoto song, who Ryuichi Sakamoto is also from YMO. I really, if you haven't noticed by now, I really love Yellow Magic Orchestra. And I think Sakamoto is probably like my favorite member from that, all of his solo output after he was in that band. It's great. I've sampled it a lot. This rap sample is definitely from a Various Artists compilation that was like golden age 90s, late 80s hip hop. It also had like the Crush Groove sample that I used in Let's Groove, a different album that I made. I've taken a lot of samples from that Various Artists compilation album. And then this sample, this Japanese sample, they're singing in English, but it's from a Japanese record called Amazon. At least I think it is. I don't know, I might be wrong. It's been a while since I made this. And then the piano sample too is another sample that I tried to use for like a long time. It's just an intro to like a live album. It's literally like the pianist messing around before the song starts, I think. Actually, no, scratch that. That doesn't make any sense. God, I love this sample. This Japanese sample is a vocal version of Bibo no Aozora. The original version is just piano only, and it's so good. The vocal version is pretty good too. I forget who's the one singing, but she is another like popular artist to be sampled in future funk. I feel bad for forgetting the name. I love this arpeggio here. I just added this in at the end to make it, a nice change up. This is basically all me right now. No samples, just me. And then here, a nice little transition track. You get another nice little transition track with Discouraged. And this, with this piano here, it almost sounds Christmassy. The thing with a lot of these like short tracks that I throw into albums sometimes is it's just samples that I really, really liked, but never found a place for them. So now they get their own chance to shine here as little interstitial tracks. That's a really easy trick to elongate a song, is just put a low pass filter over the samples and boom, you got another 4 bars that sound interesting. Just a little tip. And now we get to Hello Future Funk. This track is pretty interesting. I made it because I wanted Well, I don't know if I should say this, but originally this was a diss track to Young Bay because I do not appreciate his earlier music. I did when I first got into Future Funk, and then I actually started making Future Funk, and I realized it was very lazy. And so this track is basically me saying, look here, look at this. Here's how you make an actually good Future Funk song. But it grew from that, and what it turned into is not that at all. It's more like a celebration of Future Funk. I use all the old samples that people have used in like the famous examples of the genre, all the Macross, the Young Bay, the Night Tempo stuff, and just take that and put it all into one huge song. This is like, people have called this song like the finale of Future Funk. It turned into I turned what was going to be a diss track into just a big celebration of the genre. And I'm really glad that I did that. It's so much nicer of a message than I hate this particular person. Which I don't. I mean, you know, Young Bay can do his thing. I just don't personally like his music. But yeah, like all of these samples that I used are from songs that I personally listened to that were uploaded on like Artsy Music or Real Love Music, all those YouTube channels that would upload Future Funk, and I would just listen to them all throughout college. Like that was, Future Funk was basically all I listened to throughout college. That's just my entire college years. It was great. I loved it. But that's another thing that I really liked about Future Funk and Vaporwave in general, is just there's a lot of opportunity for fans of the genre to just get in on producing, because there's not that high of a barrier to entry. Like if you're listening to this right now, you can go out and start making Vaporwave right now. Just put a song in Audacity and slow it down, man. You can make Future Funk too. Just grab FL Studio, speed up a song, put a 4 on the floor beat on it, boom. It's not hard. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say that, but you can get more creative from it as you go along, you know. It's just so nice to have a really welcoming community when I started out that really helped me get along. Like if I didn't have people telling me that my stuff was good in 2017, I would have quit way before 2019 when I released All Together Now, and way before 2020 when I released Goodbye Future Funk. So yeah, thank you, Future Funk community. And okay, now this track I sampled Zimbabwe Legit, I think is the name of this guy. He was produced by DJ Shadow. And when I bought the record at the record store in like San Jose, the record shop guy was like, hey, that's produced by DJ Shadow. Man, he doesn't rep NorCal anymore. And I was like, whoa, people actually care about that kind of stuff? Okay, now this one is just stuff from my other alias that I felt that people should listen to, because I made a whole album before this album on that other alias that I really loved, and I still really love it, but people just didn't listen to it. And so I took the tracks from that album and I threw them onto this song to get people to listen to it. And I added a whole bunch of stuff to it. I added the vocal samples, I added the drums, all of that, but most of the composition is just me. And like, I do that a lot now. If you listen to the stuff on my other alias, there's a good chance that you will end up recognizing some of those songs on albums that I release under this name. we're wrapping up here. Wrapping up this commentary track pretty soon once this track's over. Thank you for listening to my rambling. I'm sorry I didn't really come up with that many good insights for this album, because this is just a vibe for me. I got caught into listening to it myself. Again, this is like my favorite album that I've ever made. Like, hands down, I love it. And I'm really glad that people love it too. I'm really glad that both of these albums are on vinyl. If you picked one of those up, thank you. Thank you very much. If you picked it up on cassette, thank you. If you've never picked up any of my albums on physical, thank you too. It's nice that you're just listening. Like, that's the main takeaway from all of this, is just that I really enjoy making music, and I'm really very grateful to everyone who listens. I know I make a lot of it, and I might deluge people sometimes with the stuff that I make. And there's maybe some stuff that I wish I'd never released, you know, just to keep a more consistent catalog. But yeah, I'm just glad that the ones that people like, they make it known that they like it. Like, if you want, if anyone ever wants to let me know what they think of these albums, what they think of my music, you can find me on Twitter. You can let me know. I really appreciate any and all comments. Even if you hated it, let me know. If you listened all the way to the end of this, I don't think you hate it, but you know, let me know. This sample is from Prison Break, from an old VHS recording we had. I don't think we recorded it. I think I got it off some garage sale. You gotta get creative. You gotta take your samples from wherever you find them. Making sample-based music is just so fun, man. There's just so much interesting stuff that you can do with it. Man, I really love this trumpet sample. I started to care less about sampling newer artists by this point, because this sample is also from the 2010s, the trumpet sample. And yeah, pretty much that was it. That was Goodbye Future Funk. And before that was All Together Now. Two of the best albums I've ever made, basically. I hope one day I can make another album that rivals these. It's gonna be hard, but yeah, I'll keep trying. It's just too much fun. I can't stop. And then we end out with a low pass filter. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for listening. I hope this was worth your while. Shouts out to Neil Cicierega.